Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to upgrade your Gen 2 Raptor shocks with the Fox Factory Series 3.0 series. So it's just going to be a step-by-step video on how to do that. So first things first, you're going to get your truck up in the air. I have 37, so I had to run some extra little 2x4s on my jack. Obviously, I pulled my wheel off already. That's pretty straightforward. So once I pulled the wheel off, I threw a jack stand into the frame and then I relieved some of the weight onto the jack. So this one's still got some weight on it just as a secondary. But after you pull your wheel off, you should have something like this. So after you get your wheel off, you're gonna have a couple bolts for your lines. This one was an 8mm, I already pulled that out. This one right here is a 10mm bolt. And then this is just a Christmas tree pin right here, followed by another 10mm bolt that goes right in here. Just supports this whole bracket and brake line assembly. So once you have those bolts out, you're gonna pull your caliper off and then hang your caliper with a strap like I did, or you can do it however you want. As long as you don't have all the weight pulling on the lines, you're good. Next step is to pull your dust cap off right here with some channel locks. And then you're gonna have a nut under there. That's a 13mm, and pull that out next. Next, you're gonna pull your rotor off. Next, you're gonna remove your sway bar link, just that top nut. That is an 18mm. Just watch out, make sure you don't pinch any of these in your wrench while you're turning. Next, you're gonna remove your tie rod. It's this nut right here, and that's a 21mm. Sometimes these kind of bolts will get stuck in there and you'll have to hold them by the end of them. They're at the bottom. This is a 10mm while you turn the nut off. Next thing you want to do is loosen your upper control arm nut, which is right here, and that's going to be a 18mm. This part usually gets stuck, so you're gonna have to hit it right here. Just keep your bolt threads protected in case you smack your bolt on accident. But yeah, hit it right here with a good heavy hammer. It should break free. Once I get that off, I'll just kind of turn this whole assembly out of the way, and hopefully we can just work around it like this. Next thing I'm gonna do is pull the top strut mounts out. I believe there's 3 of them at the top here. You might need to go through your hood for one of them, but I'll let you know. So for these 3 nuts on the top of the coilover, all 3 of them are 18mm. I was able to get this one off here. The second one, which is right here where my fingertip's at. But the third one I wasn't able to reach, and I just used a box wrench for these 2. So I was able to reach them, but the third one, I ended up cutting a little hole in that insulation splash guard shield right where that third one was at. So I cut a little hole out of it, which you can do or not do, it's up to you. I just found it easier without having to pull the wheel well and everything out. And I was able to get a ratchet and a socket on it and bust that one loose. So next step is remove your lower shock mount bolt and nut. We got a 27mm socket for the head of the bolt. On this side we have a 30mm for the nut. And this one's gonna take a lot of torque to break loose, so you might need a cheater bar for this. So I was able to use a 1/2" ratchet on this side. And then I broke it loose with the 1/2" ratchet, and then after it was loose, I used my torque wrench in reverse just to thread the nut out all the way. You also may need to punch the rest of that bolt out from this side here, going that way to get the rest of the bolt out, but it's out now. This is also a good time to pull your CV axle out. It's only held in by that nut in there that we took out earlier, but that will give you a little more slack so you can drop your lower arm. You'll also need to pull this out here. It's a sensor, just an Allen head, and then this should pull out. I think it might have a gasket under it. But you'll get this out so you can get this out of the way. And then you'll pull off your vacuum line that goes to your actuator. So after you get that bolt out of the bottom shock, you're gonna have to loosen your UCA bolts. I'm just gonna loosen the nuts so I can get this upper control arm out of the way so I can pull the shock out. Make sure you get in alignment after this because you'll probably need one. After you get your UCA up out of the way, you should be able to pull this out. I'll let you know how it goes because I can't film with all my hands while I'm trying to pull this thing off. So I just pulled down on the lower control arm and pulled this out through the top. So it just, once it cleared the bucket, I was able to pull it out this far, and then this should just be able to pull out now. So I got the coilover out. Now I'm gonna install the mounts for the reservoir. These are just little clips. They slide in on each side of this body mount here. Should be able to line them up with the holes. So I started with the lower shock mount, and I got the bolt ran through the shock, and the nut started on the other end. Now I'm going to try to apply pressure downwards on the new coilover and try to feed it through the shock tower there. This wasn't so bad. After having that bolt already started down there, I just put a lot of my body weight downwards on the lower control arm. At the same time, I pushed the shock in towards the tower, got it lined up, and you can rotate this to get yourself lined up with for the threads for the holes of the shock tower there. And then after that, I'm gonna come back up here where I cut my hole. And you can see down in there, I started that third nut that I couldn't get to from the bottom. So I'm gonna tighten that one down first from the top up here. That one's all tied up top. So I came back down here. I started the washer and the nut, and then the washer and the nut on this side. So I just need to tighten those last two down for the top. What I'm gonna do after getting those three nuts tight at the top, I've tightened the lower shock, and now I'm gonna put these mounts on for the reservoir. I already have my clips on. So these things, you just loosen up that Allen head, and then these slide on the back down these rails. And then once you get those on, you should be able to line them up with your mount location, and then you can adjust and slide forward or backwards to tighten these to the spot you finally want them in. So once those clips are on, you're gonna take these brackets, slide them down the rail from this end here. So I have two on there. These are kind of hard because at first they're really tight and you have to kind of hit them with the hammer on the bracket to get them to slide forward. I also used some WD-40, but I was fighting them for a little bit. Finally got them on, so I'm gonna get these lined up with the mount, and then I'll just tighten them from there. So these two are tightened. Now I'm just gonna go underneath and tighten both those Allen head set screws. So reservoir is tight, everything's good there, everything's good up here. So now I'm gonna come back down, double check this bolt here, and then bring the CV axle back into the hub. So I got the CV axle back in. I re-greased and cleaned the inside of this where all the teeth are. Put that in, tighten this, make sure you torque everything to spec. This is tight. Tie rod is tight. Upper control arm is tight. And now I'm just gonna tighten the sway bar link right here. Oh, and also I reran the sensor back through the guard and into there, and there's just an Allen head. And then I reconnected the vacuum line for the actuator for the hubs. What you have to do is reconnect your brake caliper with those two bolts. That just goes here and down here. But before that, we got to put on our brake rotor, so we'll do that next. Another tip for this sway bar link is to make sure you do that before you put this all back together so you can have the play. I had to use a pry bar in here to lift up on it so I can get this under through it, but no big deal. So rotor and caliper are back on. Next thing I'm gonna do is just reconnect these brackets and cable guides all the way up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I got that 8mm. Put all these little rubber boot guides back in their clamps. 10mm. Make sure these are all in, and another 10mm back there. And then I'm gonna put this nut on once I have weight back down because I think I screwed up a little bit and I'll have to just wait to add that nut, but that's easy once the truck's on the ground. I was able to get that nut on for the sway bar link. That's all tight. Everything's good down here. Got the wheel back on. Torque to spec, I think it's 147 foot-pounds for the wheel lug nuts. Just looking at it now, it looks like I've gained quite a bit of distance. I'll leave measurements from before and after in the description of the video.